am Chantell Cooley, co-founder of Columbia Southern University. I have over 30 years of business experience, and I'm excited to share with you strategies. I'm excited to talk to you about how I move forward in my life. Whether you're in your career, you want to be a leader, or you want to continue to move forward, this is a podcast for you. So welcome to the Chantell Cooley podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Chantell Cooley podcast. This has been so much fun to do these podcasts, and we have some incredible guests coming. But today, one of very special friend, and wow, what a testimony of advancement in her career. And she's going to really give us some insight on her thinking, how she moved herself forward. It's going to be great. So stay tuned. Tell your friends, send this podcast around, because when I have guests on, I really pray about it. And I believe that God brings them by divine appointments to speak into your life. Years and years ago, I was constantly looking for content to read back in, in the we started in 1993, the university. And so I was like 21, 22 years old. And I needed content to listen to help me grow. But I didn't have a lot of money to go to conferences. So there was a lot of podcasts out, I don't think, then. So I was just looking for anything. And I want to be that for you, because you need little nuggets of information. But I want to tell you really quick about I have several books out, but this is my book called Beyond the Basics. It's got a new cover. And this is information, 30 years of information while I was working in my career in education. I was in the administrative side. Of course, I own Columbia Southern University with my family. And I just want to read you some of the chapters: building teams, delegating, becoming an expert at communication, resolving team conflicts. This is all things that I had to learn. I put content in here to help you. I think these are key areas that affected me when I'm growing a team, and I put my strategies in here. I go on to talk about identifying your purpose and your talents. It doesn't matter what level of success you're at. I think each level you go to, you're going to come to this crossroad where you're going to question yourself, because it's a new level. Even being at my level, I question myself. And so you have to learn to say, no, I am good enough. I am confident, or I wouldn't be in this place. And yes, you have a lot to learn, but you made it to that spot, and be gracious to yourself. So anyway, that's another podcast. So finding lessons in failure, managing time, doing time management, become a strong leader, and so much more. You can get this book on Amazon. We'll get that right out to you. All right, let's get right into our guest today is Freda Braddock. Freda, hello. And it's so good to have you. And I want to read a little bit your bio. It's incredible. And then we're just going to cut you loose, okay?
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. So Dr. Freda Barnett-Braddock has more than 20 years of academic experience in K-12 and higher education. She holds a state of Mississippi class. How did you say that? 4A educator license with various endorsements, including administrator. She earned a Bachelor's of Science in Education, Master of Science in Educational Administration. I really like that. I like that administrative part. Mm-hmm. And graduate hours in psychology, EDS, in curriculum and instruction, and EDD in curriculum and instruction. Dr. Braddock joined Columbia Southern University, yay, in March 2010, working as an instructor, course writer, and program director. She serves on various committees and presents frequently to faculty and various audiences. Freda is an active member of the community, a passionate motivator, and remains devoted to student success. And now you've been promoted, I guess, this year, beginning of year, somewhere around there, Dean, College of Education, Assistant Provost. So, wow, this is amazing. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing now, and you can tell anything about your career, where you are today. It's just one thing after another. And we're going to get into a lot of, I've got some questions for you, but go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Chantell, for inviting me to the podcast. Oh my goodness, I love listening to you. Any chance I get, you
Oh,
always drop little nuggets of wisdom, and they changed my life. So I'm excited to be here to talk to you and share with others, and hopefully encourage someone by sharing a little bit of my background and what I'm currently doing. But I was blessed to receive the appointment of dean for the College of Education and assistant provost in January of this year. And so it has been a blast. I'm living the dream because I get to help students achieve higher education each day, one student at a time. And so I think that during our talk, people will get a better understanding of some of the things that I've been through throughout my life. And all those experiences combined have made me the woman I am today. So I'm just excited to be here and to share with your listeners and to hopefully help you change somebody's life by our conversation today.
oh, this is so good. All right. And again, congratulations on your promotion.
Thank
Wow. In education, this is probably one of the ultimate positions, isn't it, to become a dean?
you. Yes, I'm honored because I've been in the classroom for over 20 plus years helping students. I started out as an elementary teacher. I taught high school. I worked as a counselor at the community college level. And as you mentioned in my bio, I've been with CSU since 2010, working with adult learners. So I've worked with students across the spectrum. And to actually now serve as the dean who gets to help change students, and not only students' lives, but their children's future trajectories. Because when you change a student's life by helping them increase their educational attainment, you're changing their future and their children's futures. So I'm just honored to be in this role to help create curriculum, help motivate faculty as we all work together as a team to help our students.
That's so good. Glad to have you part of CSU. I've always been a true fan. All right, so
Absolutely.
let's get right into it because this is what I love, and this is why I do these podcasts because I will learn from you today, and I know everyone else will as they listen. So we want to talk about staying true to ourselves as a leader. That's a big deal, right? And so, how do you stay true to yourself as a leader, even when things get tough?
Well, I always remind myself that to be a good leader, you have to first be a good follower. And that means that you need to be a servant. I always want to strive to help others, help everyone understand that in essence, we are better together. My grandparents raised my mom and their children. I had two uncles, as well as my sister and I. They taught us and instilled in us to always treat people the way you want to be treated. And to me, a good leader does that. They realize that there are strengths and areas of opportunity on every team. And so, as a leader, there are going to be challenges you're going to face. That's something that you just have to be mindful of, and also be bold enough to admit that you're not going to know everything. And so that's why, for me, it's important to surround myself with people who are different from me, people who have different skills and abilities from me, so that we can all pour into the team and come together and let our strengths shine. And so a leader knows that you must help the team grow. It's not about I, but it's about we. And so to me, I strive to always, as I'm leading a team, I try to remember back to leaders that I had in the past. Some were great. They were phenomenal. They were people who really pushed me to grow. But some were those that I often wished I had had different experiences under them. Maybe they didn't bring the team together, or maybe they were more of a top down leadership style. And so I try to learn from things that weren't necessarily great experiences to help me be a better leader. I want people to know that they can come to me, that they can ask for support, to know that you're a person first and foremost. And that I know that life is going to happen, and I'm here to support you as much as I can, and that we are working together. And so that was one of the traits that you taught me as a mentor is to know your team, and that no one person is, greater than the other. We all have a very important role to play. And that's what I try to do as I lead my team.
That's so good. I think one of the things that you do and that I do as well is we know our talents. And you have to come to a place in your life is where you don't have to be great at everything. If you can figure it out, I wish we would have, somebody maybe would have come along a little bit sooner for me and said, hey, I have to be superwoman. You can just, what are you good at? What has somebody told you that you were good at? Like, and for you, I know that you have been told that you make people feel very comfortable. You're a great motivator and you can relate to them on their level. And I think that's some of the things that I have too. And those things, if you zone in on them, Freda, don't you agree that that helps you stay true to yourself? Because you could go back to go, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm good at.
Absolutely. You've got to know what gifts and talents and abilities you hold and possess, and you rock them. You do the best you can with them. But then you also are aware and acknowledge that you don't know everything. You can't know everything. No one person can. And that's the whole reason for having a team, so that everybody can fill in and shine and step up to the plate in their areas of giftings and talents and abilities. And that's one thing I think that more people would benefit from, is just that transparency and saying, hey, I know you're good in this area. You take the lead. I know you're great in that area. Why don't you head up that project and let everybody shine where they excel best?
Yeah, there's nothing better than having a leader over you that you report to, whether it's ministry or business or whatever your marketplace job you're in, that they know who they are and they're not intimidated by your skills. They hired you because you're better in something than they are, maybe, or they hired you because they need to go to a different project and you can take this part on just as well or better than they are. And it's also nice to have a boss that knows the reason why they hire people is to push the team forward. That I have people smarter than me around me, and that's key to it, right?
Oh, I intentionally, when I'm hiring people and building a team, I look for people who are different from me. I never want to have a team full of people who are exactly the same. I think everybody brings a unique perspective, and I want to always also surround myself with people, as you mentioned, who are smarter than me, because I always want to keep growing and stretching. And so, like, to me, that is the sign of a great leader, is to always continuously embrace improvement. So that means you're going to have a circle that can push you there. And so I would encourage leaders to do that.
And be transparent. There were times when I had people smarter than me and I was immature in my leadership and I didn't tell anybody, but I was a little bit intimidated by them. And you got to get out of that. You got to go, wait a minute. I know what I know. I know I'm this position. And once you get a hold of that, you stay true to yourself. All right. Absolutely. So let's move on to something I really love is our faith. And of course, I love this podcast, but because my faith in God has carried me where I am today. And one of the things that at Columbia Southern University is when we hire people, they know that we have a strong faith in God. And what is the signs of that? Well, you have you come into an organization that's going to take care of you. They're going to treat you good, and we let that play out. We don't say you got to be this religion or anything. We're not concerned about that, but we want you to know that because of our faith, you're going to have a great culture to work in. It may not be perfect. You're going to have great people to work for. And when you do come into our organization, we're going to find your talents. This is something I've said for 30 years when we hired people. And we're going to find your talents, and then we're going to move you forward. And we want to grow your talents. And we're a little selfish because we're going to use them, but we want you to grow as a person. And so I think that's just incredible. I think that's that marketplace ministry. We're to change lives. and we get to do it through education. But I want to ask you, because of your faith, tell me how it's influenced how you lead yourself. And I know you have to be undercover. You're not going to shove your religion down people's, well, that's not what we're about. Your character is important, and what you say, you do it. You're that kind of a person. So let's go into that a little bit.
I remember one time you and I were talking about this particular topic, and you helped me to realize that yes, sometimes we do have to be undercover. So to be a Christian, a lover of God, you don't have to walk around with a sign that says that, or plaster it everywhere, but it's your actions. People are going to remember not what you say, but how you treat them. And so what I like to do is in my daily walk, whether it is in my job or in my personal life, I always go back to just the basic principles that Jesus taught too. Very easy. Love God first and love others. And so that's how I make my decisions. That's how I seek to live my life. If I'm loving God first, then that means I'm going to naturally want to do what's right. I'm going to want to treat others the way I want to be treated. Just like my granny and papa used to say to me, treat everybody the way you want to be treated. It's going to make me do the right thing even when nobody else is watching, because again, I have that love for God. I don't have to go around screaming it. I don't have to go around telling it, but my actions are going to show that. My actions are going to show if I see a faculty member who's struggling, I'm going to reach out and say, hey, I noticed XYZ, what can I do to help? Is there something going on that we need to talk about? Or is there a resource that maybe I can help connect you with? Or if I see a student who's having a hard time, I'm going to go the extra mile because that's what I would want someone to do for me. And so again, being a leader doesn't mean you have to, especially when you're in the secular world and you have a strong Christian faith, you don't have to scream it. You just need to live it. And that's what I try to do in my actions with my team, with my leaders above me, and everybody that I work with.
You can, being transparent about this, you just, you can tell when somebody really cares about you, and it's beyond the work. It's like they see you as a person and they go, absolutely, okay, how can we move you forward? How can we build your confidence so you will excel in this position? And there's nothing better, is it, Freda, to be able to be I call it an undercover agent for God.
Yes.
You're able to move people forward, because gosh, finding mentors is not easy, and somebody that truly will take the time out for you, because, everybody's busy.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be, and to be honest, I would not be where I am today had it not been for the great mentors I've had over the years. And the one who comes to mind, no pun intended, is you, the biggest one, because you truly walk your talk. And that's huge, because like you said, people can tell when you're being genuine. Some people say the right things, they do the right things, but they do it out of maybe, I dare say, personal gain and gratification. They have ulterior motives for why they do certain things. But you can tell when a leader or just a person in general truly cares. They're going to pour into you. They're going to see those strengths and talents that are deep down inside that maybe nobody else has called out of you, and help you to grow them. And that's what you've done for me. And I feel like it's my honor and it's my privilege to do that for others. So I seek every day to find somebody I can encourage, somebody that I can just say a kind word to. How are you doing? What's going on with your family? Just letting somebody else know that you care can completely change their whole perspective that day, because we don't know what people are going through.
That's right.
And just being kind, that goes a long way.
Nothing better.
Yeah.
All right, incredible. So let's go into something else that's really important to
Okay.
me: discovering what you're best at. Okay, and we talked a little bit about that. So how did you discover your own talents as a leader? Because I look at you and what a progression you've made. I know life hasn't been perfect, probably. Well, none of us it is,
Mhm.
but you said earlier that everything you've gone through, I think that's a big thing too. You can look back at your past and see all this, and if you can get to the place where, for me, if I got to the place where I stopped being mad at people that cause things to happen, whether it's people I knew very close or either people in business, whatever it was that I came in contact with, I decided to go, you know what? Bishop Hammond says is thank them. Thank you for making me who I am today. That's
Absolutely.
not easy
Absolutely.
to do, but I got to that place because he mentors me and he's been mentoring me before COVID. And I'm like, whoo, he's tough on me. Chantell, you thank them. You get to the place, that's what Paul
Mhm.
says. You get to the place where you thank them. And it took me, Freda, several years. So,
Right.
I think it's made me who I am today. And it also, I think all of this that you've gone through personally to get where you are, you're a
Mhm.
fighter, has
Mhm.
helped you discover your talents as a leader.
Yeah, I truly believe that everything works together for my good, and the Bible says all things work together for good. So I
Let
have,
me let me ask you this. Let me
okay,
pause. Okay,
okay,
so when we say that, we truly believe it. Now, when something comes at you sideways,
yes,
hits you in the head, I bet you say that it comes out of your mouth, and it's not easy for you to believe it at that moment.
absolutely. So yeah, because hey, let's be transparent. Let's take
Yeah.
off the facade. I like keeping it real, just like you do. Life is tough. Life is going to
Mhm.
throw different challenges at us, but you have to remember, you know how the story ends. You're going to win in the end. It's just that middle piece, the going through. And you talk about this, and I'm not trying to do a shameless plug, but this book right here that you got out,
Thank you.
Living in the Overflow, y'all can see the little stickies because I use it. Like
Oh,
my book is less than a month old, of course, but it's falling apart because I got all kind of scratchings
I
and things
love it.
that help me. But you in this book, and I know this will encourage somebody. I shared this with somebody the other day, and they just really um, they were blessed from it. You mentioned that every season gets you ready for another season, and that's what we're talking about. So even though you're going through maybe a challenge, some type of trial, it's preparing you for the next stage in life. It's getting you ready because iron sharpens iron. You've got to go through the fire in order to grow and get stronger. And so when these challenges come, and they do, they come to everyone. I am thankful that I have matured to the point that I can look at the challenge and say, okay, what can I learn from this? What is it trying to teach me? How can I grow from this? God has brought me through too much over all of the years that I've been here on this earth to not be able to overcome this challenge too. So I go back and I think about all of the hard times that I thought about giving up, that I didn't think I was going to make it. And guess what? I'm still standing. And so that just means I got to put my feet
Yeah.
on the ground, stay planted, surround myself with people who will encourage me and help refill my cup, because we do get empty. When life, like you said, all these challenges come, we do sometimes feel like we're pouring out, and eventually we get empty. And you can't pour from an empty vessel. So that's
Yeah,
when it's time
that's
to
good.
reach out to others and let them pour back into you. And so that is what keeps me
Yeah.
going, even in the hard times. And again, knowing who God says that I am, I rest in that. And I'm confident in knowing that if He brought me to it, He's going to bring me through it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. So, so good. This is real life. Okay. She
Yes.
has a title. She's a dean, and but she's real. And this is so important to be so transparent because she has to put that title right there, take the hat off, and be a real person as well.
Right.
And I like how a lot of leaders sometimes they hide under that title, but you know what? You don't need to do that. You're a real person. And I think
Yes.
people that work with you want to see that.
Yes.
They want to see just be it like, oh, she's not having the best day, but how did she overcome it? That's what you look at. All right, let's go to another question. This is
Okay.
so good. All right, so Freda, I'm going to read this. For someone just starting out, how can they figure out what they're really good at and find their talents? And I think this is really pointed to Gen Z and millennials. Now,
Mhm.
of course, I think you're a millennial, aren't you?
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk to this group. Let's start with the 20-year-olds and the 30s, and we'll get into the 40-year-olds because those 20 and border 30s, they're trying to figure themselves out, right? So let's kind
Yeah.
of go through that. Let's talk about the 20-year-olds. How do they find their place?
Well, to me, I go back to myself as a little girl, and I think back to what I loved doing. And so I think that is just good wisdom and advice for anybody, no matter the age group, if you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s plus,
Mhm.
because so many times we put pressure on ourselves, especially young people. They feel like they have to know what they're going to do in life. They have to determine their path. But guess what? Life is forever evolving, and we are too. So it's okay to not necessarily know, where you're going to be in the next 10 years. But what you need to do is look inward and see what are your gifts? What makes your heart smile, is what I like to say. What are you good at doing? And that's when you go after it. Even as a child, I was
Mhm.
always big on helping other students, other classmates in the room try to do their work. I always had a heart for helping others. I would feel sometimes I would feel discouraged and sad for other students who maybe were struggling to read or didn't understand the math. And so I would go over and volunteer to help and to try to make life easier. So that was a gift. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that was a gift that was planted inside me. It made me happy to help other people. It made me happy when I could tell somebody was learning and connecting the dots, so to speak. And so I would encourage anybody, whatever generation you're in, is to look for your passions. Look inside to see what makes you happy, what makes your heart smile, what makes you feel like you're living in your purpose, and go after it. And also know that sometimes those dreams change. Because like you mentioned,
Mhm.
I haven't always been a leader. I was a classroom teacher. I went after, and this is a good, woo, thank you, God. This is a good transparent moment. I went after national board certification. I went through that long, arduous process to try to become a national board certified teacher. I went through everything. It took a year, did the writing, did the exam, and didn't pass. That was the
Wow.
first time in my life I had ever failed anything, anything. And I was crushed. I was
Mm.
crushed. And to explain why, like you said, I love being transparent. I had pressure from my father as a child to always excel and to be the best, almost to the point of making it stressful for me. I felt like I had to be perfect. I had to be an overachiever. And so I had to realize that I'm perfect the way God made me. I'm perfectly imperfect. And so just because I did not pass the national board did not mean I wasn't a good teacher. It just
Mhm.
meant that in that particular area, that particular test, I didn't pass, but it did not negate the gifts, talents, and the lives that I was changing every day in the classroom. And I
Wow.
didn't let that stop me. And so that's another nugget I want to share with people. When you come to a roadblock, because you're going to face them in life, there are going to be different things that you can either go left and get off your path and let it discourage you, or you can go right and maybe change paths to something different. And that's exactly what I did. When I didn't pass national board, that's when I started working on my master's degree in educational
Wow.
administration. I said, you know what? Okay, I know I'm a good teacher. Not going to let one test define me. I knew the skills that I had, the passion that I had for helping others. And I knew if I became an administrator, I could impact and reach even more students because I would be impacting teachers and staff members. And they, in turn were touching children every day in multiple ways. So go after your passion, look inside, first of all, and know that sometimes it's okay not to realize what you want to do in life. And it's okay to even start over and repurpose those dreams, but just be willing to be flexible and open to what the universe and God has for you.
That's so good. When one door shut, what did you give yourself, a couple of weeks to get over it, or did you give yourself a day?
Oh, yeah, it was probably a couple of weeks because it was devastating. It was devastating. And, but then I was like, girl, get up and get yourself together. And find another dream,
because that's so
you're
good.
Bigger than this. You're bigger than this. And I often think, wow, where would I have been if I had passed the national board? I might have stayed in that little classroom, still changing lives, but not to the magnitude that I am today because my reach wouldn't have been as big.
Oh my goodness.
And so I think sometimes he closes certain doors because he knows they're not big enough. And so that was a dream.
Was that were you in your 20s when you did that? Was that
I was late 20s.
Mm-hmm. Okay, late so 20s. Now we're into our 30s. Let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. I think as you turn 30, there's something that's going to shift in your life as you begin to those last years. You're going to begin to come into this new place of maturity. Like 29, you're shifting to 30. There's a shift in there, and you become more bold. And you kind of you start getting it together. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can just, Chantell, when I hit my 30s, my mindset just completely changed. I had more confidence. I, knew who I was, regardless of what, maybe naysayers would say. I knew my gifts. And I was bold enough to walk in them and to go after dreams that didn't even seem feasible because I had big dreams for myself that everybody couldn't always understand. And so, as you mentioned, it's something about those 30s, you just start shifting. And it's made me the woman that I am today. I really went through a lot of challenges in my 30s. But each one that I faced going through a divorce, they made me stronger. And so on the other side of it, if you can just hang on to the other side,
that's the truth.
There's victory in it and on the other side of it. But it's that middle part that gets hard.
That middle part. And that's the journey. Quit looking to the end result. The journey. Because it's the journey that we're going through, and you keep your eye on okay, I wanted to be, you became dean, but you're in the journey. And when one door shut, God always opens another door. Always. And I do like this fight that's inside of you. It's just, it's contagious. Yeah. So I love talking to leaders who've made it. And I want to know how you made it, because for those of you listening, this is how you grow. You might pick up one thing that Freda and I have said, or two things, or whatever it is, and you grab it and you say, okay, I'm going to use what she said and grow. And that's how you do. That's how when you listen to podcasts, you read books. So I want to kind of wrap it up in the last 10 minutes and talk about a couple things, and you can just jump in. What advice would you give to young leaders about balancing their goals and their faith? And then what kind of legacy do you hope to leave behind in your leadership? So Freda, I'll just pass it off to you to kind of round it up and kind of end it. And then I'll talk to you about your personal, how we can find out more about what you do.
Absolutely. Well, just to wrap this up, and this has been so good. This has refilled my cup today. I tell you, anytime I get to talk to you, your energy just attracts me, and it just like I said, it makes me just feel like, I'm about to burst with so much excitement. But the best advice, and I just want to encourage anybody who has not gotten a copy of your new book, Living in the Overflow. This summarizes how I lead each day, and what drives me, and how I keep my priorities straight, and what I would encourage other leaders to do. You said knowledge and wisdom are key words to know. Knowledge is gaining information from the word of God, but wisdom is applying it. To me, that is the key to success. Mm-hmm. Before I realized how important wisdom was, I always used to pray for God to make me smart, let me have a lot of knowledge, because I thought that was the key to doing well in life. But from reading the word, sitting under great leaders such as you, and learning more about what the Bible says in this area, I learned to start praying for wisdom, because I can know the right answer. I can know what I should do, but I need God to direct me on what to do, how to handle a situation, how to keep my calm when maybe an attack is coming upon me, or there's a challenge that's thrown in my path. And so I pray for wisdom every day and ask God to lead and direct my steps. Sometimes I don't know necessarily what to do, but I know what not to do. And that is what guides me. I look at everything and I try to see, what is this situation doing for me? What is it trying to teach me? Not focusing on the negative, but what can I learn from it? And so I think great leaders are constantly looking for ways to learn from every experience that they have. They should always be looking for ways to, again, not only pour into others, but finding ways to refill their own cups, because you can't help people when you're depleted yourself.
Yeah.
So embracing good resources like your book. John Maxwell has great leadership books. There are tons of folks who have impeccable resources out there, and it's great to always be embracing continuous improvement in your own walk, and that way you're going to filter to others. So I just thank you for the opportunity today to talk, and just hopefully sprinkle a little sunshine in somebody's day, and just remind you that no matter what season you're in, no matter what you're going through, you're going to make it if you just hold on and just ride through the middle, and you're going to get to the other side.
That's so good. And thank you for complimenting me on my book. That is available as well. Absolutely. On Amazon. Absolutely. Yeah, that's like my whole life is in that book, what I think about. And you can use that book as a devotion. I've actually gone through it. It's just like, I don't like, it's just deep. It's like a lot of stuff that I have to go back and read. And it makes me a better leader. Absolutely. I meditate on that. And, Freda's talking about read your Proverbs, because that gives you wisdom to pull out all that knowledge that you have. A lot of people don't have wisdom, and they don't know what to do. They make wrong decisions. Obviously, we've all done that. So you kind of go, okay, I need a little bit more wisdom here. So get into your Proverbs. It really, Proverbs creates success. I tell you what, Proverbs is my lifeline. It's caused me to think different, and it's just a supernatural thing. It just happens. You don't even know you're saying some of the things. You go, where did that come from? Now, and again, your legacy as we end. I love to talk about legacy. You're walking your legacy out now.
Yeah, I just hope when people think about me and my legacy, they'll be reminded that she always wanted to help someone. She always was committed to leaving a place better than she found it. And she was passionate about helping others realize their dreams.
Yeah, that's more important. It's more important, instead of looking at what can I do so big? If you can get your mind off of that, you go, what one person's life can I change?
One person each day. Just be on the look. Like I said, be on the hunt, be on the lookout, and you'll find
so
them.
Good.
They're going to cross your path.
I always said, when I got out of the car and I went into Columbia Southern, I'd say, before I touch the door, like, give me a divine appointment today. Who can I help, encourage? And it doesn't mean you're giving scriptures out.
No,
that's okay if they're okay with that. But honestly, I'm undercover. I'm in the business world. You have to be really
Absolutely.
careful what you do.
Right.
And remember, you're a walking word. If you put the word in you, Christ is in you. It comes out through your character,
Comes out.
and you really position yourself so well doing that. I think this is the new um, mission to evangelize the marketplace. It's
Yeah.
not like it used to be. It turns people off. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
It
It
does.
does. I've been there. I've seen it. I've had people do that. And I'm like, I was working with this person
Right.
undercover to build their confidence up, not mentioning one scripture, one thing about
You never have to say
my
a word.
belief. No, I'm just kind and caring and loving, and I want to help them. That's not
Yep.
my focus. God told me that a while back. He said, get your focus off of that. They
Right.
want to make more money to provide for their family. So I want you to help them be a better leader so then they
Right.
can get promotions and feel confident about
Mhm.
themselves. That's
Absolutely.
marketplace ministry, Freda, at its finest. Do
Yes.
you agree?
That is fine. Absolutely. A smile is a whole testimony without saying a word.
I mean,
It
I got to
is.
say this one story to end this. So years ago, I was working full time at Columbia Southern. I'd go and my team, I'd check on them. I'd stop by their cubicle, and a lot of them were at lunch. So I'd write little notes or wherever they
Mhm.
were and just say, "Hey, you're doing a great job, Chantell." And it wasn't a big deal to me. I just knew that I read it somewhere. And my dad was really good at
Yeah.
that. So I wanted to keep that legacy, that part that my dad did going. So one
Mhm.
day, about, I don't know how long, maybe it was a year, several years later, I got an email from this particular girl, and she said, "You left a note on my desk years ago, and I put it on my bookshelf." Well,
Wow.
somebody was cleaning my bookshelf and it got thrown away. It meant so much. Could you
Oh,
rewrite that? This is years later. Could you rewrite
wow.
the note? And I said, that is it. And it changed my life. I said, I'm going to get better at just being personable
Mhm.
and one on one and changing lives.
That's the key.
I mean,
That
my
is the
God,
key.
I'll never forget that girl, the young lady. She was amazing. Okay, as we end, we've gone along, but I think it's okay because you're going to get so much good stuff. You can break it up. You can put it in your car as you're
Right.
driving, as you're walking. I think everything Freda has said today, you're going to be able to have takeaways. So tell us how we can connect with you personally first. Where are
Yes. So,
you? LinkedIn?
so I'm on LinkedIn, Freda Barnett-Braddock. I'm on Instagram, Freda Barnett-Braddock. Look for me, connect. I love connecting. I'm on Facebook as well. I love interacting with folks and just encouraging others. Also, you can visit columbiasouthern.edu to find out about the College of Education. We have several programs that will help change your life. And so just check us out because we are committed to helping students change, or excuse me, educators change students' lives one student at a time. We know that they can do it. We know it's a hard job, and we are here to support them as they go out into the world
That's
and teach the future. Yes.
well, what's one of the degree programs that's really hot right now that
So right
y'all
now, we just officially launched the College of Ed this year. We have a
mm-hmm.
Master's of Ed in Curriculum Instruction, a Doctor of Education in Curriculum Instruction. That's one of our very, very most prized degree programs. As also, we have a Master's of Science in Instructional Design and Technology. And all of the programs are thriving, doing well. We're getting apps every day. So if you want more information, reach out. I'll be glad to provide any support. Like I said, find me on LinkedIn. We can connect. Go to Columbia Southern's columbiasouthern.edu and look us up. And we'll be glad to help you with anything that you want more information about.
Yeah, you can Freda's giving you access to her. You can find her on LinkedIn and tell a
Yes.
little bit about our accreditation too. We're fully accredited.
Yes, we are accredited through SACS COC, and that is a major accomplishment that we are so very proud of. We are just excited to be able to offer very, very high quality programs to our students. So come check us out.
Yes. And don't forget, check Freda out. She's great. Also, she is a great speaker. She's been on podcasts. She can be on your podcast, TV show, whatever, because she's just like talk about education and moving people forward. But she also has a great personal story of let's advance you. Let's keep going and moving forward.
Yes.
Well, it's been so fun, Freda, as always. And we're going to have
Absolutely.
you back if that's okay. And
Thank you
we'll
so
check.
much.
I'm sure you're going to learn something else you can teach us on later.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Freda. And thanks, guys, for watching the podcast. I'm already hearing lots of reports about people saying they like it. So I'm super happy. Thanks, Brooke, my daughter. She's in the background doing all this for me, and she's amazing. Okay, Freda, we will see you next time.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.